I think what's unique when you're looking at 2015 is I think the pipes are changing. It's no longer people looking to get the same KPIs as they used to. We used to have half our traffic coming from Google. Now half of it comes from Facebook. We used to want people to click on a text ad. Now we want people to like our fan page on Facebook. And I think people are coming to our sites from many, many different sources to consume many, many different things. And I think that's a big opportunity and it's a big concern. What do you do with all this data that's coming up, bubbling from all of these sources of information that's out there? How do you optimize for the thing you care for as a business? What does it mean to publishers? What does it mean to advertisers? And we've been talking about mobile for a long time, and we're starting to see publishers that have 50, 60, sometimes 80% of the traffic coming from a 4.5-inch screen size. And I think it's becoming real.
So I've always been a big proponent of best screen available, right? Like it doesn't necessarily matter where it is, but I also find myself that even when I'm watching a big TV, I always have a tablet or phone attached to me somehow. What do you think is the next big thing that's going to change the living room environment that includes mobile? Because I think we're finally past the point where they're competing. They're not competing, they're additive, right? So what do you think is the next big thing to come out that's really going to kind of bring some of the more traditional, slower advertisers into the mobile market?
I think scale and performance. In general, I think that what gets people to move from what they know to something new is value. And I think what's missing right now is that, and I think we're getting there, is how can you get scale for advertisers in all these new formats? A smaller screen size, an infinite scroll experience, people that are no longer search consumers or different type of consumers. They're in a discovery mode. Why am I here? Am I supposed to be here? What should I do next? Right. So I think the focus should be, and I'm very passionate about 2015 evolution of this industry, because I think it's coming to the point that there's a lot of data and it's becoming actionable. And then from publisher perspective and advertiser perspective, there are great technologies out there that can help to bridge the gap and allow publishers and advertisers to act on it. So I think that 2015 is an opportunity for data and personalization to make all of this craziness make sense in all of it.
So when you say personalization, do you mean the personalization on the consumer side, so being able to actually curate an experience around content, or do you mean personalization from the advertiser side, which is being able to curate an advertising experience, which is a little bit different?
I think that and more. So I think that we're just getting to be overwhelmed with information. Doesn't it feel like the last year passed so much faster than 10 years ago?
Absolutely.
And I think part of it is because there's just so much stuff for us to do. So when I'm thinking personalization, I think the next generation of that is that everything is changing. When I land on a website, today, all of us, we see the same template. It looks exactly the same. So we used to think about widgets and errors on the site that should be better, a better ad, a better recommendation, a better sharing tool. All of that should be tailored to me. So I think the future is, from the publisher standpoint, to think about a web of one. So when I get to your site and I get to your app and I get to your mobile experience, how does it feel relevant to me? Because if I never tweet on your site, you should not show me big tweet buttons. And if I never watch a video, then video should not be the first thing you're offering me. And I think those things are now available in terms of data, and we can make it actionable and personalize the experience for consumers. On the flip side, from an advertiser standpoint, I think there's, again, a major opportunity to, for the first time, become a storyteller and reach those consumers in a different way than a picture of an ad or a product, and tell them stories. And through those stories, ask them questions. We work with major brands that are now using content to think about how the ad should look like before the Super Bowl. We have brands now that are building communities and driving traffic from all different sources, working with Taboola to be better at asking their consumers, how should the ad look like in the Super Bowl? So I think that there's a huge opportunity to reach the right person at the right time and offering them value, and through that, get budgets up and get scale on both sides of the business.
So basically, think about accountability, right? So now that you're talking that you're going to talk to a specific person, you have to account very specifically for that,
yeah.
Right? So there's a different level of accountability than there used to be, because the spray and pray methodology worked for a really long time. So how does that change the technology, and how does that change the business approach that you walk into as a technologist? No,
I think it's a great question. To me, it goes back to value. So you have to ask yourself if what you're doing and how you spend your time, how you spend your dollars, if it's worth it, and if you're getting what you think you should be getting. So whether that's if you're an advertiser and you're building a blog and a community because you want to tell stories to to your target audience, do you have a newsletter so people can sign up and tell you what they think? Are you active in social to allow people to ask you a question you can respond? Are you measuring some sort of ROI? What's your metrics? Or is it high-level metrics, marketing budgets you're spending, and you're not entirely sure what's going on? And I think this switch is from spray and pray, high CPMs, talk about top of the funnel metrics. I think it's moving towards measurements, data, and eventually drive that personalization. I don't know how it's going to look like, but I think it must happen.
And the way that you're talking about personalization, it sounds very much like it's a two-way communication between the consumer and whoever the owner of that piece is, right?
Right.
So, and do you think that that's who's driving that? Is that happening because consumers are continually not happy with what they have, or do you think that it's kind of been brands and content producers coming to a realization that they need to curate a different experience?
So I'm a big believer of choice. So I think at Taboola, what we've launched, realizing this is such a hard task, is we give people choice. So when you see a recommendation on any one of our publisher partner sites, there is a tiny X similar to a Facebook feed that you can tell us, and the editor of the site, and the advertiser, I don't like that piece of content. I've seen it before. It's boring, it's annoying, or others. And I think that's step one out of many, many steps as a company we would have to take and we would want to take to facilitate this conversation between both sides. I can imagine how you can recommend content, content is culture. People are passionate about it. People want to tell you what they think. I can imagine how you can work with hundreds of millions of people and work on top publisher sites and not engage with your consumers and asking them if you made a mistake, if it brought them value. So on our platform, on a monthly basis, over 1 million consumers are Xing stuff. So obviously many more people click when they like it, but now they can have a choice and tell us, I actually don't like that. And once you do that, you will never see that again. So if you X'd Kim Kardashian article because you don't like Kim, you will never see that again around the web as long as we're there. And that's an incremental step that first of all make you feel like you're part of a conversation. And two, that you can actually affect your web journey. So I don't think that's enough, but I think it's the beginning. And as a company, we would encourage ourselves and our partners to think about how can we drive that experience for consumers.
That's great. So last question, one company other than your own in 2015 that you think is really interesting?
I like Talkspace. So Talkspace, it's an yet another Israeli company. They're doing something with a really big vision. Their vision is to make 8 billion people mentally healthier. So they have a subscription product via an app that you can talk to a therapist and get to feel better and have your questions answered in real time. So I think that's a fantastic business. It's subscription, which I really think it's one of the best business models out there. It's a do-good company and they're growing like crazy.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.